Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again for this wonderful Wednesday. And would like to send our greetings as well to those who are watching as live via Facebook and also YouTube. So this is again your Let Us Talk It Zipinar as we would give back to the community by creating an informed and empowered community through free knowledge sharing platform. So we'd like to give thanks to our two wonderful speakers today for offering their time and efforts, and definitely for bringing us two new wonderful topics as well. So, our first topic that we'll be discussing today definitely is a very exciting topic. So, the title is performance testing important? So, today most of the software projects are failing due to lack of evaluation before the project launch, and how performance testing is helping to overcome such challenges. So for to speak for this topic, we have Zohair Asif, a consultant performance and scalability, and he has an industrial experience of around more than 10 years, and he had mainly been involved in shipping like robust, reliable, and stable products from a functional performance and security point of view. So having diverse expertise in performance and scalability testing using state-of-the-art processes, techniques, tools, and strategies was never easy for him. And here we have him to discuss this topic. Is performance testing important? So without further ado, we have Zohair to deliver the topic. Please take over.
Uh, Thank you, Phil, for an amazing introduction about the profile and the topic that we are trying to cover today. Let me share my screen just a second. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So today's topic is about is performance testing is important, and myself, Zuhair Asif, and I've been working in the industry for more than 10 years, and my core expertise are in the performance and scalability side. But if I talk about my experience with other items in the software industry, so I've been involved in the functional sector of applications to evaluate from functional point of view. I've been involved in the automation side as well, designing the automation frameworks and their implementation. The most important section that I've been involved in the performance and scalability side to perform that level of evaluation from performance point of view. Then I was also involved in the security and penetration testing, and a little bit in the ethical hacking side to make sure that software products are secure enough. On the other side, I've been also working on the cloud services, mainly on the AWS, GCP, and Microsoft Azure. And also I've been involved in the DevOps side, how we can leverage the power of DevOps to make sure that that the operations and the technology gap should be very minimum. Then release management, product management, how effectively we can think of different features and how we can develop different features by studying the market, and how we can go with the time to market on the different products. Then I was mainly involved in the business analysis of different features, products throughout my career to make sure we deliver state-of-the-art products. I've been also in taking part throughout my career in the testing processes, designing those processes to make sure that the teams have the that power to follow that specific process to make sure they deliver something with proper quality and stability along with the reliability. I was mainly working with the different development models and frameworks, including waterfall, agile, and scrum processes. So this was a brief overview about myself and my profile regarding my experiences. Moving forward, uh, let's go back a little bit in our time, and there's a question that what was happening earlier in the software industry, right? Initially, once the project is ready, some client wants to give that project to the company that they want to get it develop this sort of application or this product for their business, right? Then they start with the business requirement. Then there is a project planning that happens at the organization who is actually taking care of that project and want to deliver that project. uh, there are some activities related to software design and development that goes into. Then there's a testing thing, right? And finally we have the project live. Now once the project is live, definitely this is a very happy moment for the clients, right? That the project is live in the due time date, right? So it is a very optimum situation for the companies who are developing software projects, and for the clients as well. So let's make a contrast with the today time, that out of every 10 web applications that we are seeing online, 4 applications have slow response time and latency issues, right? So this is very crucial, that these are the problems that are making trouble for most of the projects out there. So what does it mean that 40% of the applications are not performing well out there? As a result, we are or the customers losing their trust. Like, if being a user, I'm trying to access certain application online and I just want to go, and it's e-commerce platform, I want to purchase some product from that site. I go select the product, and when I trying to check out by giving my payment details, there's a some sort of problem on there, or the application is behaving quite slow, which is disturbing the user behavior, and I will never go back to the site to purchase that thing, because it has some sort of a user experience problem there. uh, so the question arises here that we think that, is performance testing really matters, right? So definitely yes. Why? Before launching a product or a specific feature, it is really important to have that project or product or feature needs to be validated or tested from the performance point of view, which with most of the organization actually lacking today. It is an integral part to follow that non-functional aspect of your um, evaluation of your product, from either from performance point of view or the security point of view. uh, we only know the value of a performance testing or a performance factor of certain application out there when we have some sort of an incident out there, that the application is suddenly went down, and all the technical team try to find out what happened with the application. So at present, what we have problems which are much advanced level issues, right? We are facing issues that are not simple in order to trace, right? So sudden slowness in application was working fine, and we often hear this statement from our customers or clients that the application was working fine, and suddenly there's this slow behavior of that application, but it doesn't happen every time, right? Then latency and crashing issues, right? So now what I meant by latency and crashing issue is, application is performing quite slow in terms of the response time. I'm trying to access certain application, and application is continuously loading, and then I'm sometimes it's load successfully, and sometimes it's displays some sort of crashing. Then server sometimes gets down. We have some certain status codes like 500, 502, 503. So these are the few codes that we might have observed on certain products. Intermittent issues, like the problem we phase sometimes, but it works fine sometimes, right? uh, Sometimes we are working very seamlessly on the application, but suddenly applications start performing in a very erroneous way. Then all these issues actually creating one major problem for our users who are actually our potential customers to the application, that this is a bad user experience that they are having, right? If one user is trying to perform certain application functionality on the application, if that user is not having that certain behavior, or that proper functionality being performed in a better way, it is creating a very bad user experience for that user, and this user might not return to the product again to perform any functionality or perform any transaction on that application. Rather, the user will try to go some other platform to see. So all these things are there, all the problems there in today's time, right? Then what happens next? So this is the picture that is actually very much self-explanatory, that frustrated clients, the client is too much frustrated with the application performance, and he will try to contact with the development company who actually developed that product, hosted that product on a some server, and request them that what is happening with the application, it is not performing well, I'm receiving so much error rate on the application, every other customer is complaining that the product is not working well. So the pro tip about dealing with this situation is, it is always important to test the applications from performance point of view on regular basis. What I meant by regular basis, um, it is something that it is not important to test application only once uh, when we have that specific testing that we want to perform from performance point of view, but it is important to do it on regular basis, because we are improving applications day by day, we are making solutions more important or more seamless, we are adding more features to the application on daily basis, or weekly or bi-weekly basis. So that's why it is important that we should have that mechanism in place or a process in place that makes sure that every new feature or new fix that we are giving to our products have that performance testing there for those things, right? So next question arises, that when the performance testing should be initiated for a project, whenever we have a very new project in line, right? For that, ideally it should be from the beginning of the project. Since the project is started, performance testing should also go side by side as our functional testing, right? It is always important to give time to performance testing for your projects. So let's talk about in some more slides for the performance testing process, because it is the key part of understanding that this is the performance factor that we have. And this is the performance testing process that we try to follow to have it in place whenever we want to test a project or a product from performance point of view. The number one first phase is the non-functional requirements and analysis. Then second phase is performance test strategy, then performance test design, performance test execution, results analysis, and benchmarking and recommendation. So this is the complete process that actually makes sure a product is, or a project is a performance optimized, right? So let's talk about all of these phases one by one to understand more deeply that what they actually offering in every phase. So if I talk about non-functional requirements, the first part to understand is project scope, use cases, and domain. It is a very important and crucial part to understand what is the scope of the project, right? What is the domain? What are the use cases, right? Uh, what I meant by project scope, what I meant by use case and domain is every project nature is different. If we are working on a healthcare product, it will be but different use cases have their different project scope and the different nature of domain. If we have e-commerce project, it has a different domain because they have different user experience and they might have different user bases, right? The next point is intended audience. So it is always important for test a performance of application uh, to understand what will be the intended users or the audience who will be using this product. Like if we are working on an e-commerce product, then definitely we have some sort of vast user base for that. If we are working on a healthcare system, and healthcare system is mainly designing for the doctors or the patient, or sorry, or the nurses or the medical associates or medical staff, right? Then the criteria for that would be little different from the e-commerce product. Then it is always important to understand the third point, that is technology stack. We must understand the technology stack that we are following, what is going to be used on the back end, how we are developing our endpoints, right? What will be the technology stack on the front end? Either we are developing in the React or on Angular side or the Vue.js, right? These are the few important points that need to discuss or to understand in these requirements. Then the third point that really matters is what are we using on the databases side, right? We are using a relational database, or we are using some non-relational databases or no SQL database, right? To understand what are their positives, what are the pros and cons. So it is always important to understand these things. And the another important factor in the technology stack is uh, are we using any third party services with that? Because it is another important factor to understand. If we are using any third party services, so we must need to understand their performance, performance score as well, so that we must aware how well they are performing their services on their side. And the last point is hosting infrastructure. It is also very important thing to understand that what will be the hosting infrastructure for this application is going to be. Either we are going to use any cloud services, AWS, or we will be using GCP, Microsoft Azure, or any other cloud service, or any dedicated cloud services. So these are very important things that need to be understood whenever we have some sort of hosting infrastructure in front of us. So let's move forward towards performance test strategy. It's the second phase of the performance test process. Whenever we are in the phase of designing the test strategy for the performance, it is always important to prioritize the modules of the applications that we have. We cannot dive into test everything at once, because we have to prioritize the modules from critical to low, depending on the severity of the module. Then we need to understand the iterations of different loads to see how we will be performing different load tests, right? We need to understand what are the maximum minimum loads that we are planning to execute, to understand how application will be performing on the minimum loads, how the application will perform on the maximum loads. Another important thing that needs to be understand is what are the stress and peak levels of applications, because sometimes application perform well in their specific loads, right? But when there is a stress or peak levels, application perform very differently. either the performance degrade of the application, or there's some sort of service outage of the application. So there can be multiple factors that can happen to the application. Concurrency test is also very important to perform, because uh, how many users perform their operations concurrently, it is more important to understand that uh, when we have simultaneous transactions going on the project or on the product, it might have that impact on the application, that it application won't able to process such kind of simultaneous or concurrent requests together, because there might be some deadlock on the front end, might be deadlock on the back end services or on the database level. Understanding the test environment is also very important, and frequency of test, how frequent we need to execute our performance test on the application. With that, let's move on to the third phase of the process, that is performance test design. uh, while designing the performance test, always try to consider sorry try to consider following factors that I'm going to discuss in this section. It's user workflow. Always try to design your performance test according to the user workflow. Uh, if a user is trying, or user will be performing this specific workflow, for example, I'm on an e-commerce project or e-commerce site, right? Before I want to purchase a product, I want to sign up or I want to log in, right? Then I will be searching a product. After search, I'll select that product and add into the cart. And from there, I'll move onward to purchase that product. So this is something related to user workflow. It is important to understand that. Then always try to process your performance tests using data. Data plays a very vital role whenever we perform performance testing. Reporting mechanism is also important, because whenever we try to design our tests, we also need some sort of reports at the end to see how system was performing during that performance test. REM, it is an important term that we oftenly use in the performance testing. It means robust, extendable, and maintainable. We need to design test case related to the performance always robust, extendable, and maintainable, because if the test is not extendable, you might have to do an effort altogether to design another test case or extend that specific test case. uh, Test should be maintainable. It shouldn't be hard to update your existing test. Then wherever applicable, try to make sure that we perform logical operations in the test, because logical operation make tests more realistic in terms of performing for testing related to performance. Then configurations and test structure is also important part of the test design. So the fourth section is about the performance test execution. Now we have the requirements, we have requirements, then we have the strategy in place. We have designed our test. Then it's time to execute the test. So it is always important that you execute your test on a very different load environment. It should not be on the environment where other QA team or UATs or other people are trying to access the application to see the behavior of application from a functional point of view, from GUI point of view, right? Because load test environment should be different. They have a very adverse effect on the platform or on the environment, as well as it can affect the other users to have that utilization of the application on the environments if that load environment is not in place. Correlation between users and time. Always try to consider that what is the correlation between user and time, because whenever you execute a load test, try to consider for how many time you want to execute a specific load for specific users count. Then it is also important to understand litmus test. What I meant by litmus test, it's just like a stability test of the environment. It is a very basic test to understand the environment is stable, and we are ready to go with the performance test. Next, we have performance test result analysis. We have executed our test, and once the test execution done, and we have some sort of reporting mechanism in place, uh, we might face a report in front of us, and that report is more important when we have certain key matrices in front of us to analyze the performance of the system, right? So let's talk about those matrices. It is always important to understand the user load, for how many user load we perform the test, then what was the minimum response time, the throughput of the application, maximum response time, what was the data usage or the data inflow, outflow over the network, what was the response time percentile, like how many what was the response time under for 95 percentile or for 99 percentile, what was the error rate we observed during the execution of the test, what type of response time distribution we have in front of us, then what was the duration of the test we performed, and what are the different error types that we faced during our execution. So all these things move towards the benchmarking and recommendation thing. That's the last part of our conversation today. It's system stability, reliability, and scalability. Why we have this? Because we need to make sure that system is reliable, stable, and scalable. Because without these three things, products and the projects cannot perform well when they are experienced large users transaction on the platform. Then how resilient is the system? What I meant by resilient here, it's if there's any problem on the platform or on the project or on the site, uh, does the system automatically recovers itself, or always need a technical team to see that, to try to fix that problem for the legitimate users out there? Is DR in place? So it's an abbreviation for disaster recovery. What about caching? If we have some sort of static content in front of us, like what we can do, we can have caching that can perform on the hosting infrastructure, or that help to cache the data and readily available for the users who are making the request. And by doing this, what we can do and what we can achieve is we cannot make a round trip of the call from the front end to the back end to the database and returning that thing to the user. Instead, if the data is already cached for specific request, then it will be returned from the environment itself instead of going back to the database every time. Rate limiting where applicable. We have certain application that considers authorization. We cannot perform certain operation without logging into application, and we might have some sort of DDoS attacks in such application. And to avoid this, we must follow rate limiting wherever applicable, because if we are receiving multiple requests related to login using the same IP address or the demographics or the geography, what we can do, we can apply a rate limiting on that for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or depending upon the requirement or the business need, because it always help to secure from performance and security point of view. Then analyze the potential problems and bottlenecks to recommend solution. It is also very important. to understand all the problems that we have in front of us in result of our performance test. Uh, but it is also very important to share the recommendations so that the development teams or the engineering departments can try to see what are the possible solutions they can have, and how performance test engineers actually helping them to resolve those issues. Then it is also a key point to understand that whenever we have such applications in front of us and hosted out there, load balancers plays a very vital role to handle the load evenly in different instances of the or servers, right? Also, we can use CDN, that is Content Delivery Network, for static contents that we can place on the CDN, and it is very handy, and it is very handy in terms of to perform, to give the response time quite quickly for end users, and all the static content like images, some JavaScripts, TypeScripts, they can easily be rendered from there. So so this is all about to this session on the performance testing requirements, and is really important to have in our projects and our products. So any questions from you guys?
All right, Zuhair, perfect. Thank you so much for that very insightful and crisp details you have shared regarding performance testing. And now we are open for questions, definitely, from our attendees and panels. Please unmute if you want to ask questions, or you can just put it on chat so I can acknowledge and say it to Zuhair. While we are waiting for them to ask questions, if in case they wish to collaborate with you offline or beyond this Zoom session, Zuhair, how would they reach out to you?
uh, they can reach out to me using my email address.
Okay. All right. Let's see, everyone.
Yeah, hi. Teach you Satya here.
Yes, we have Satya. Go ahead, Satya.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks for the wonderful presentation. So I have one quick question: is in terms of the performance engineering tools. So do you have any good tools that you recommend for for the testing?
Well, thank you, Satya, for your question. It is always important to understand all the aspects of performance testing. Then definitely we need to see what are the different tools that can help us to achieve our performance testing goal, right? So in terms of performance testing tools, we have we have a blend of tools there. We can follow the licensed tools, or we can go for the open source community as well, or open source tools as well. So mainly what we do, it depends from project to project. And there are tools like we can use WebLoad, then we have JMeter there. On the other side, we can use Neoload and Load Runner, which are from the license side, right? So there are certain tools out there that can help us to achieve our performance testing needs.
Okay, sure. And also for the benchmarks, right, that you are suggesting, are there any industry benchmarks, or it depends on client to client? Like,
Yes, it depends from client to client, because we have a default industrial benchmark as well. But in today's time, as per my experience working with so many products and projects throughout these years, I've seen that every client has their own requirements, right? Either they say that they need to target these number of users per day, these number of users like in half day or for a few hours, right? So they share such kind of details, and it is important to talk to the customers or to the clients for these requirements to get more idea what they actually expecting from the performance testing side, right?
Yeah, sure. Got it. Thanks, Asim.
All right.
Okay. And yeah, thank you, Satya. So we don't have any other questions, definitely. But yeah, I've shared the email of Zohair on the chat section. You can just send him an email for further collaborations. And yeah, Zohair, thank you so much. Appreciate that one. And then yes, definitely we can move to the next topic for today, as we wanted to discover things in different ways. And the next topic that we have for today for the next speaker, the title is Art of Public Speaking. Indeed, it is really an art. Public speaking can tremendously increase your self-confidence and help you to create an identity for yourself in this world. So that's also the aim of the Let Us Talk It platform, to help people in public speaking as well have further exposure in terms of their art. And to discuss this topic, we have Sudhir Vilraj, a public speaking trainer and a transformation coach. And he is a public speaker with over 14 years of rich experience working in various corporate organizations and premier academic institutions. So he has worked with various international mentors for honing his skills in public speaking, effective communication, and influencer mindset. So as a mentor or coach, he is on a mission to help 100,000 working professionals enhance their speaking, influence building, and persuasion skills through his SPI model, so that they can be recognized in their organization in a short period of time. So we're very excited to hear with this topic, the art of public speaking, to be delivered with to us by Sudhir. Please take over.
Can you hear me, Phil?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much. And before that, let me share my screen.
Okay.
Just a minute. So can you people see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Yes, great. Thank you so much. First of all, before starting my session, I would like to thank Phil and his entire team for hosting up this wonderful session and also giving me this opportunity to speak in front of a wonderful audience. And I know you guys are simply rocking, and the kind of work that you are doing just totally for free, and kind of educating people and let them know what is right there around this world. So great job to you guys, and yes, keep up the good work. So yes, today's session is going to be art of public speaking. So this session is more or less going to be what is public speaking and why public speaking is very important, right, in today's world. So that is what we are going to see today. Right. Okay. So let me introduce myself. My name is Sudhir Velraj. I am a public speaking trainer, coach, mentor, and an Amazon best-selling author. Yes, I have written a book which is available on Amazon as well. The name of the book is Speak to Shine. So what do I do? Usually I train corporate employees and also even graduates when it comes to speaking in front of public, right? So public speaking is a very, very important skill that you should understand. I would say, no, today we have many leaders in this world, right? So we have leaders in various corporations, we have business people, we have entrepreneurs, but the one important skill set that is lacking the most is the public speaking skill set, right? So we have very few public speakers who have this ability to speak in front of public, right? So the moment when you think of speaking in public or going to a stage and speak in front of a large audience, your legs begin to tremble, right? You begin to shiver, you become so nervous that you don't know what you're speaking, right? So that is how it is. So public speaking is a very, very important skill set. And I'm helping corporate professionals, graduates, when it comes to improving their self-confidence, improving their leadership skills, improving their communication skills. And also, I would say, there is an important parameter that each and every individual in this world should understand, right? The art of influencing people, right? See, everyone can speak in this world. Let us be honest here. Every single person can speak in this world, but there are only few people that can influence people around them. So hope you understand what I mean by influence, right? Right. So the ability the ability within us that can make the other people to change their decisions. So that is what we mean by influencing people. And also, there are certain techniques that can be used to perform these influence techniques, and that is called as the persuasion skill set. So everything is needed here. So you need to have public speaking skills, you need to have influence building skills, and also you need to have this persuasion skill set. So it is very, very important, right? So without wasting time, let's deep dive. And before that, I have this duty of letting you all know, I have trained myself in public speaking with one of my international mentors, and his name is Mr. Amandeep Thin. So in this image, you can see on the right side, the guy who is wearing the specs is Mr. Amandeep Thin, and he is based out of United Kingdom, and he's a wonderful, amazing trainer. And it is because of him that I'm here spreading my message, giving my voice to this world, right? Just a quick question. Can you just see the other person who is standing next to him? Can anyone tell me who is that guy? The person, the taller guy. Can anyone tell me? Anyone?
Yeah. Tony Robbins.
Exactly. Perfect. Great. So, so Tony Robbins is the #1 motivational speaker, coach, whatever you call him. He's the #1 coach in this world, right? No, his programs are truly awesome, powerful, and he can just make you stand up and just jump with joy. So that is how Tony Robbins has built an enormous empire in today's world. And this photo clearly shows that my guru, Mr. Amandeep Thin, has worked with him, right? So the entire European chapter of Tony Robbins programs were handled by Mr. Amandeep Thin, right? So it's a honor to learn public speaking from Mr. Amandeep Thin. And I've also learned from Tony Robbins programs as well. So I do have many mentors. Okay, so I have Tony Robbins and Dan Locke and many other mentors. Just to let you know, right? Okay, so how have I divided this entire session? It is going to be, I want to make this session very simple. Let us not make it too complicated, right? So I will let you know what is public speaking and why should we go for public speaking, who all should learn public speaking, and few examples, right? So 4 different things that I am going to discuss for today's session, considering the time frame that I have, right? Okay, so public speaking is the process of giving a speech in front of an audience. As simple as that. So you're just going to give a speech in front of an audience, might be in a conference hall, might be in a room, or might be on a stage, wherever it is. So that is how we try to define public speaking. So this public speaking can be formal, face-to-face, and also only one person speaks in front of a group of listeners, right? So that is how we define public speaking. And as I told you, this is a very, very important skill set. And I want to break this myth that many people tell me that public speaking is all about English speaking skills. No, it is not. It is an absolute wrong fact that people are telling you. Public speaking is not about your English speaking skills, right? Just try to understand or just try to visualize public speaking, not public speaking, communication skills on one side and English speaking skills on another side, right? So both are different, okay? English speaking skills is totally different and communication skills is totally different. You can communicate on your native language as well. So there is no need to speak on English to communicate your message, right? And this public speaking comes under your communication skills, right? So you don't have to know English to perform public speaking. You can speak on your own native language, right? So keep this in mind. Public speaking is a communication skill-based skill set and not an English language skill set. So hope you understand what I meant by this, right? Okay. So now that you know what is meant by public speaking, let us try to understand why this public speaking is very, very important, right? Now what you're seeing here is a very, very astonishing, surprising fact, which I've taken from a popular research-based company. And this popular research says that only 4% of the entire human population can able to influence people around them. This is very, very shocking. Just try to understand this. Only 4% of influencers can influence people around them. And the remaining 96% people are just doing a job which they like or they don't like, or they are not creating a personal brand for themselves, right? So we have only 4% of the entire human population as influencers. And these 4% people include, Tony Robbins, then you have, Ratan Tata, then we have so many other people, right? So you can take the case of even Microsoft founder, who is Bill Gates, and Steve Jobs, Virgin Atlantic CEO, Richard Branson. It goes on, right? So the point is, all these people have mastered the art of public speaking. Let me tell you, if you have knowledge within you, it does not matter. Let me tell you, it does not matter. Only when you are able to articulate the knowledge that is inside you to people around you, then you become a great leader, right? Try to understand this. Knowledge alone is not important. What you need is a speaking skill set or a communication skill set that can, try to convey your message to this world, right? So all these leaders, all these influencers, all these persuaders that you see in this world have mastered this art of public speaking. So the point I'm trying to make here is there is a huge gap that people will have to fill, right? So we all have this kind of habit of becoming a big person in this world. We want name and fame, right? So we want to create a personal brand for ourselves. So this will happen only when we have a good communication skill set. Yes. So let me try to break another myth as well. So public speaking is only for public speakers. No, that is not the case. Let us try to understand this one simple fact. The current generation includes so many people, right? So we have executives, managers, entrepreneurs, salespeople, advertising staffs. You can just see this entire list, right? Each and every person working in his own domain needs to do this talking. Needs to do this talking either to get a sales done, or to talk to his customers, or to renew his deal, whatever it is, right? So we need to have that influence mindset, or we need to know this persuasion strategies to use them, and what I would say, use them in our daily kind of activities that we do in our jobs, right? So executives, if you take the case, executives can try to utilize this public speaking skill set to kind of signing a deal with their clients, right? So salespeople do their sales job every day. So it can be either through images, either through videos, either through a telephonic conversation, who knows, right? So everyone needs to speak, and that is the beauty of this public speaking skill set. See, right now we have this advent of social media platform where we can express our ideas. And by the way, let me tell you this also. There are a lot of social media influencers in this world, right? So you have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, so on. But the moment when you make them to stand on stage and let them talk, oh God, their speech is totally terrible. Let me tell you, let us be honest, right? So we get that nervousness as soon as we stand on stage, right? So this public speaking skill set is one important skill set that you will have to understand. It is the number one skill set that is needed by all the leaders who are working in organizations, right? Wherever, not only in organizations, any one person in this world should understand and learn this one important skill, right? So I'm just breaking this myth that only public speakers should learn the skill set. No, that is not the case. You have an entire list of people who need to learn this important skill set, right? Great, thank you. So why I am stressing so much on public speaking is, let us try to understand these people, right? So the person who is the person who is on the top image, right? So his name is Les Brown. He is a great motivational speaker from America. And also the person who is down, you can see on the down, right? So on the left side, his name is Tony Robbins, and the person on the right is Dan Locke. So all these people are great speakers. And let me tell you, let me just walk you through these people's lives, right? So let me just walk you. I'll just take one example. Let us not waste time here, right? Okay, so let us take the first case. We have an important motivational speaker in United States of America, and his name is Les Brown, right? His original name was Leslie Calvin Les Brown, and he had a very difficult childhood. His father and mother kind of like had a disagreement. They divorced and they left their babies alone. They left their babies to just fend for themselves. And you know what happened? This person, Les Brown, was adopted by a 38-year-old single woman, and her name was Mamie Brown, right? So how difficult her childhood was, right? His father and mother left him. And what happened next? His school just labeled him as a mentally retarded person. He cannot study well. He cannot grasp things so fast, right? So that is how his childhood days was. And after that, he got married, only to get divorced in just 2 years. Such was his kind of like all negative things happened in his life. On one day, his entire life changed. He took a job on a popular radio show. He did that for a few years. And after that, he went into politics. And later on, he became the greatest motivational speaker in this world till now. And I mean it, okay? So he is the best ever motivational speaker the world has ever produced. And let me tell you the kind of fortune that he has got till now, right? Les Brown has no formal college education. Just keep this in mind. We all do this undergraduate degrees. We all do this postgraduate degrees. We all do this, PhDs also, right? So this person, Les Brown, has no formal education, but look at the kind of overall worth that he is having right now. Now, his overall, okay, at least till now, his overall worth is about 15 million US dollars. Oh God, this is totally amazing. For a person who has not done a formal education, a graduation, whatever, right? And he is able to amass so much of wealth, and that is only due to one simple skill set. I'm saying the simple skill set, and that is public speaking, right? Shocking. Yes, it is shocking for me also, but that is how it is. Next case, second case, that is Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins, his childhood days was not good either, right? His father and mother was kind of like fighting all his days. He was working when he was a child. He worked as a janitor, and later on, he attended one simple seminar under Jim Rohn. He is also a great speaker in America, and that changed his entire life. And let me tell you, this person with no formal education, college education, he is owning a private island resort. He's having a private jet, and his entire worth is 500 million US dollars. Right? This is totally shocking. And let me tell you, this happened with his speaking skill set alone. When I say speaking skill set, it is your communication skills. Right? So that is how it is. So now you may ask me, Sudhir, this is fine. Leslie is having a good fortune. Tony Robbins is having a good fortune. Can everybody become Tony Robbins? I can see that, right? People can ask me. Well, let me tell you, positions are permanent. Positions are permanent. When I say positions, it is a number one position. It is a number two position. So positions are permanent, but people occupying those positions are temporary, right? So for 5 years, it may be Tony Robbins. For the next 5 years, we don't know who it will be, right? So it can be Phil Jones, it can be Zohair, so it can be anyone else, right? So positions are always permanent, but people occupying those positions are temporary. So fight for those temporary people, and you will see that enormous change in your life, right? So keep this in mind. Yes. So let us come to the most important part of the session, and this session is going to be how to create a public speaking template. Okay, so I have overcome all my fears. I have made a decision to give a speech in front of public. So how should I give a speech? What is the kind of structure that I will have to follow when I've made a decision to give a speech in front of public, right? So there is a particular structure that you will have to follow when you are doing a public speaking event, and that structure goes something like this, right? Maybe you can take notes of this if you want. You can have a note. Your speech should start with an opening. When I say opening, it can be either asking a question or it can be giving a quote, right? So it can be like that. So it should have a proper opening. So The next stage should be, you can talk about any problem, because the point here is people are here to come to your, people are come to you to listen to your speech because they think that you are an expert, right? So you can talk about, or you can take a problem and you can give a solution for that problem. That can be fine. So that you can do that. After that, every public speaker should be a good storyteller. So you can pull in your own personal experience, or you can take a story from any books or so, right? But that story should be related to your topic. So try to understand the story should be relevant to your topic and not something which is totally irrelevant, right? Or totally something different to what you are supposed to speak. So don't ever make that mistake, right? But what I would suggest here is give your own personal story and not something like, something which is already available in Google or whatever social media platform, right? So people are here to understand the pain that you have went through. Okay? So when I say you, if you are trying to give a speech, so you will have to give your own personal experience to the audience, right? So people are here to understand your pain, understand what you've gone through, right? What is the solution that you are giving to me, right? So that is how it should be, right? Then after that story, you can give a debriefing process. So what is the kind of analysis that you have done on that story? So what is the point that you're going to make, right? What is the moral of the story? Correct? So that is what you're supposed to do when you are done with the story, and you are supposed to kind of do the analysis. Then after that, maybe you can give a lesson. And above all, the last part is the closing part of a public speech. The closing part can be, you can close with the quotes, or you can try to summarize all the points, maybe. And also, you can end up a public speech with an emotional content, because people love to have an emotional content with you, right? Emotional connect with you. So if you kind of give a quote which kind of triggers their emotional quotient, they can emotionally connect with you. So that is how it should be, right? So don't give an emotional quote at the start itself. I would say give an emotional quote at the end of the speech, so that after the speech, still the people or the audience will be emotionally connected with you. And maybe, okay, hey, this guy is great, so I would like to connect with him, or get his email ID, or get his social media contacts. So do whatever you want, right? So you feel that instant connection with the speaker, right? What I would suggest here is, it is the opening part and the closing part which is very important in public speaking, rather than what is inside, right? So people always remember what he said first, or how he started at the beginning, and how he ended up in the end, right? Are you getting, right? So that is how the structure of public speaking is going to be. So for this particular session, I will be taking 5 more minutes, so please bear with that. So let us take the case of success. So if anyone talks to you about success, or no, if anyone wants you to speak about success, or maybe I'm just giving you an example here, right? So you can start out with questions. So do you want to be successful in your life? Then start with a question like that, right? So do you want to be successful in your life? What are the mistakes that you do and the public speakers or the leaders don't do, right? After this, you can give a statistic about how many successful people are there in this world and how many successful people are not there in this world. You can give a statistic. So around 8% in this world are successful, and the remaining 92% are not successful. So that will try to create a kind of fear, a kind of curiosity in the audience. So you can give a statistical data, right? But 1 or 2 statistical data is fine, but don't overwhelm your audience with only statistical data, right? Okay, so after this, you can tell about any story, any success story that you have. You can talk about, the tale of 2 frogs that try to climb up a 50-foot wall. You know the story already, right? So the first frog tried to, climb up, but the people around them started talking, you cannot climb this, or you cannot do this. After hearing all these, verbal kind of steps happening, the first frog just let it out, and it just gave up, right? But the second frog kept on trying, and it just went till the 50th foot of that wall, and it just went over that, right? And later on, everyone found that the second frog was it was deaf. The second frog was deaf. And so you can try to pull in a story here, saying, if you hear people's voice, or if you try to hear negative emotions or negative vibes from people around you, you will not succeed in your life. So like this, you can give a moral for your story and give it to the audience, right? So whichever story works for you, you can try it and see how it is. But what I would say here is you will have to try to build emotions in your stories, right? Speak as if you are listening this for the first time, right? So that is how you bring the curiosity, and also you bring the curiosity among the audience, right? So speak as if you are listening for the first time, and also try to bring all these emotions. When I say emotions, it can be anger, it can be love, it can be frustration, it can be pain, it can be negative vibes, whatever, right? So you can try to pull in emotions in your story, right? And after that, when you're done with your story, when you're done with the debriefing and with all those lessons, you can close your speech by giving any kind of quote, right? So here I've given the key to success is to start before you are ready, right? So you can give any quote that you want, and you can just close your speech. Great. So this is the public speaking template that I wanted to give it to you. And very important topic here. What are the do's and don'ts of public speaking? So when I say do's, it can be like, I've just listed 6 points here. So just stick to your key points, right? Don't just deviate from your main idea, and articulate clearly. That is a very important point. You can be a good English speaker. You can be a good communication skills expert. But if you're not able to articulate your message properly, then you are done. Right? There is no point in giving a speech itself, right? So you have to articulate the message clearly. Aim for the right level. So the message should be reached to the audience at the right level. So that is very important. And use stories and examples, just like what I said right now. Understand the political culture. It is very important that before giving a speech, you will have to understand your audience, right? So what is your political culture? What is the kind of stories that they hear? What is the kind of content that they used to see? Like, you cannot talk about something totally irrelevant, right? So you'll have to understand your audience as well. And above all, let me tell you, use simple language. If you have seen my video till now, I would have used very simple English languages. I don't want to complicate myself, and I don't want to complicate you also, right? Use very simple language in your speech. So these comes under the do's of public speaking, and the don'ts include, don't just read your slides, okay? Just create a presentation, just read from it, and the audience is just going to sleep. Okay, let me be honest here. So don't just read the lines in your slides. Don't do that. And also don't use jargons, because some people might understand jargons and some people might not understand jargons. So don't use jargons. And a third point is don't overwhelm with statistics. So as I said before, don't give too many statistics so that the audience get feared by what you are saying. So don't overwhelm your audience, and don't use sarcasm as well. So when I say sarcasm, it is something like you are saying something and you are trying to mean something totally different, right? You are saying certain lines and you are meaning totally different, right? So that is what we mean by sarcasm. So don't do that. That is terrible. That is totally not needed here. And don't lean on the podium. When you lean on the podium, it seems like you are nervous or you're trying to take a rest on the podium. Don't do that, okay? It's all comedy stuff, right? And yes, don't go over your allotted time as well. Great. So these are the do's and don'ts of public speaking. And I believe you've got something really valuable, something really useful. You've got something, the best from the public speaking content that you've seen in Google or various other social media platforms as well. I believe this session was very useful for you. And above all, if you people think that public speaking is really important, and you want to understand this important skill set from me, I am open to have a one-to-one free Zoom call with you if you want. I am okay with that, right? If you want to understand about yourself, what are the gaps that you have? Might be it can be talking to people, right? I'm kind of like a socially anxiety person, whatever it is. If you want to have a call with me just to understand your communication skill gap, then I am okay with that. We can have a one-to-one free call with that also. So with this, I would like to stop my session. I hope you had a great day. You had a great time listening to my session, and of course, have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sudhir. We really appreciate the effort and the expertise that you have shared with us. Definitely, we can treasure that. And also, you have delivered such very important knowledge to the platform. And thank you so much for that contribution. And I'm afraid we cannot do the Q&A as of the moment because there will be like a startup there will be a pitch for a startup for the next session. But definitely,
Okay.
for those who have attended, and for those who have watched live via Facebook and YouTube, you can definitely reach out to us, or you can just type Sudhir his name via
Right.
LinkedIn.
Okay. Yep. I will share you my social media links. Just a minute, if you can. Okay. Wait. There you go.
Okay. So yeah, again, thank you so much, speakers, for giving us your personal experiences, and we hope to have you again soon for another wonderful topics. And yeah, where did you send your information? Yeah, you can just type
Ah,
his name, Sudhir Vilraj Satya, on LinkedIn, and he will definitely respond to you as he is very responsive. So I will not take too much of the time because we have a next speech for that we'll be using this session. So thank you so much, everyone, and we'll be leaving the webinar platform.